Okay. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Sally.
Good evening, all.
Okay, so we're recording. Are we ready then, Sean?
Yes, you are ready. We are recording. Thank you.
Okay. Call the Design Review Commission February 1st, 2023 to order. We'll take a roll call. Let's see, let's go with Michael.
Hi, I'm here.
David.
Here.
Stuart.
Present.
Sam, present, and Chepe, not present. So we have four, we have a quorum, we have 4 members present. The public comments on items not on the agenda. Members of the audience may bring to the commission's attention any item that is not on the agenda. Please complete a request to speak, or in the Zoom era, raise your hand and submit to, so that Sean will see you. Speakers are generally given 2 to 3 minutes at the discretion of the chair. Please be advised that by law, the commission is unable to discuss or take action on issues presented during the public comments period. According to state law, Brown Act, items must first be noticed on the agenda before any discussion of action. We'll now move to the consent calendar. We have 2 items on the consent calendar. Sean, do we need to take the minutes separately?
Commissioner Harding, if we can, at least on the record, confirm whether if there's anyone who'd like to speak about an item not on the agenda.
Yes. Anyone who is in the Zoom would like to speak on any item?
Commissioner Harding, it does not appear we have anyone that's raised their hand. If there is any person who would like to speak that cannot raise their hand, please unmute yourself and provide us your name. Again, providing your name is optional. We do not appear to have anybody unmuting themselves.
Okay. Yeah, Michael, you were, now you better.
Yes, sorry. I noticed, I'm not sure because since it's been a while, on November 2nd, it was indicated I was absent for that meeting.
Okay, well, let's get to that. So let's talk about the first consent item, the minutes for the November 2nd, 2022. Were there any comments or corrections on those minutes? Michael, you had something?
Yes, I see on the, it was noted I was absent on November 2nd. I thought I only absent on the January 4th one.
Well, no, you were present on the November 2nd. Stuart was absent.
Oh, okay.
And then on the January 4th, both you and David were absent. So
Okay.
You were on January 4th, you were absent.
Okay.
To the
So
chair, if I could,
go ahead, Sean.
if I could explain, on November 2nd, we had a meeting. For unknown reasons, we had a technical issue, and the actual recording, we have no access to. We don't have it. So there may be, and actually staff apologizes. We typically rely upon the video recording. We do take notes, but sometimes when we're speaking, we aren't always able to take notes. So if you do find any errors, we did use a combination of notes to build these minutes, but if you do find an error, we apologize. We are now saving on the cloud, so we should be able to have all of these recordings in the future.
Okay, thank you. Is there, Stuart?
Yeah, so on the November 2nd minutes at the bottom of the second page, it still says that I made a motion when I wasn't at the meeting. So I was hoping maybe one of the other commissioners who was at the meeting could remember who made the motion.
Good question. I don't remember who made the motion. So what do we do on that, Sean?
Well, we can, I can go back and we can look at the notes again to see if there's any reflection of that. These are taken from a combination of notes and somehow it has inserted Klein.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
think the only, excuse me, but I think the only problem is you've got someone who was absent from the meeting making the motion. I think if you just even say one of the commissioners present made the motion or something like that.
Well, that's a good idea. Will one of the commissioners who were present at the November 7th make the motion? Those were Chairman.
I have noted that down and I'll confirm to see after the meeting if that's permissible, but I will note down that one of the commissioners present made the motion. If we find later that there was, that we can correct that, then we will return with these minutes to have them revised if necessary.
Okay. Given that, is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to? Okay.
I moved to approve the meeting minutes from November
Second.
2nd. Yes.
I second.
Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
Roll call. Michael,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Stuart,
Aye.
Chairman Harding, aye. Okay, second minutes for January 4th. Are there any comments or corrections to those minutes? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Stuart moves second.
Well, the problem is, I can't second, I don't think, on it because I wasn't there. And Michael wasn't there as well, so I don't believe
All
he
right.
can second.
Chairman Harding seconds the motion. Okay, roll call. David,
I would have to abstain,
okay. Michael,
wasn't present.
That's the case. I'll abstain too, but that will only leave 2.
Stuart,
Aye.
and Harding, aye. So 2 out of 4, does that carry, even though it's not 3 out of 5?
No, staff would recommend, so you require 3 out of the 5. Typically what we'd recommend in these situations is to go back. You can always, commissioners can always go back and listen to recordings. We can always recommend that you take a motion to continue the item to the next meeting, where we'll have Commissioner Mantica present, and then there could be a vote on that minutes.
Can a member who was not there vote on that, or are they excluded from voting?
They would have had to listen to the minutes, which are available, listen to the recording, which is available. So,
Let's
and it felt comfortable to have listened to the minutes and believe that it's accurate. But
Yes.
if they haven't listened to the minute or listened to the recording, then they should not vote on the item.
let's continue it to our next meeting.
Can we have a motion to continue with the first and second?
I make a motion to continue it.
Second.
Okay. David,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Stuart,
Aye.
Sam, aye. Thank you. Moving forward to our discussion item number 3. Could we hear the proposal for SC 220025 311 Hawthorne Avenue from staff?
Yes, this is Jan. I'm going to bring the presentation. Okay, is my screen shared right now?
Yes.
Great. Okay, good evening, Chair Harding and Commissioners. This is Jan Liu, Associate Planner. This evening, I'm going to present a design review application, file number SC22-0025, for the construction of a new 2-story house at 311 Hawthorne Avenue. The project scope consists of 2,090 square foot floor area at the first floor and 1,760 square foot floor area at the second story. A 477 square foot attached ADU is part of the project, but it is not part of our design review discussion tonight. On this slide, it shows the rendering presenting the new house appearance viewing from the front yard facing the South Gordon Way. The subject property is located on the northeast corner of Hawthorne Avenue and South Gordon Way in the north part of the city. For the characteristics of the immediate neighborhood, the neighborhood is considered a diverse character neighborhood per the city's residential design guidelines. The homes in the neighborhood are a combination of one-story and two-story homes, with two-story homes at 285 and 318 Hawthorne Avenue. Properties in the neighborhood, specifically on the north side of Hawthorne Avenue, do not appear to have consistent front setback patterns. Most homes in the neighborhood feature a low profile massing, except for the two-story house at 318 Hawthorne Avenue, which appears to have an emphasis of two-story vertical walls. Roof forms are a combination of simple and complex roof lines due to certain homes renovation in the neighborhood over the years. A mix of roofing materials are found in the neighborhood, including wood shake, composition shingle, and tiles. The exterior materials commonly used include stucco and wood siding with stone veneer or brick accents.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. Someone seems
We
to
have-
have mic on. Could you mute your mic if you're not speaking now? Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you. So before talking about the details of the proposed project plans, it should be mentioned that the site is currently vacated with only 2 sheds and a few trees remained. It is caused by a previous fire damage and the failure of redevelopment by the prior owner. The current developer purchased the property in late 2021 and applied for the new 2-story house in August 2022. On this slide, it presents the proposed site plan to the right. As the site is a corner lot, per the city standards, the narrow property line fronting the street is considered as the front lot line. So the house is fronting the South Gordon Way, and the Hawthorne Avenue is considered the secondary street. As shown on the site plan, the first floor is shown in the gray color with the proposed porch and patio cover in the hashed line. And then for the second floor, staff highlighted in the orange color for commissioner's reference. The proposed side setbacks to the structure will be beyond the minimum side setback requirement for the second story with at least 23 feet. The rear setback to the second floor will be at least 41 feet from the rear property line. Additionally, the house is found consistent with other R1-10 zoning development standards, including but not limited to lot coverage, floor area ratio, daylight plane requirements, and height limit. This is proposed first floor plan. It includes an attached ADU, a 2-car garage, a living room and kitchen, 1 office, and 1 bedroom with a bathroom. The second story will have 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and a laundry room. This slide shows the proposed front elevation on the top and the new streetscape plan facing South Gordon Way at the bottom. The front elevation is found compatible in design with the neighborhood by using design elements that have hipped and gable roof forms, recessed second-story massing from the first story, horizontal eave lines, a 6-foot projecting front porch, and articulated architecture on both first and second story. The massing of the new house is also found consistent with the first floor of the first floor will have a uniform plate height of 9 feet and 1 inch, and the second floor will have a uniform plate height of 8 feet and 6 inches with a 4-in-12 sloped and integrated roof design consistent through. The project is also utilizing high quality materials such as the composition shingle roof, cementitious horizontal and vertical siding, fiberglass framed windows, wood doors, and wood posts at the entry porch, which are integrated into the overall architectural design of the residence. The slides provides the exterior side elevation and the streetscape plan facing Hawthorne Avenue. The exterior side elevation also provides compatible gable and hip roof forms with consistent horizontal eave lines and articulated architecture with the same siding materials throughout. Overall, the design is found suitable to the neighborhood and consistent with the residential design guidelines. For the privacy, on this slide, it shows the left side elevation, which will face the interior side neighbors. And there will be 5 windows proposed at the second floor with window sill heights no less than 4 feet and 6 inches, which should not have any privacy impact to the left side neighbor. Along the rear second story elevation, there will be 5 windows from the left to right, including 1 small window with a sill height of 3 feet and 6 inches, 3 medium-sized windows with the sill height of 2 feet and 6 inches, and 1 large window with a sill height of 3 feet. As the placement of the second story windows will be more than 41 feet away from the rear property line, and new screening vegetation will be planted along the rear property line, staff found the design is consistent with the residential design guidelines to minimize the privacy impact. On this slide to the right, it is the proposed landscaping plan. A number of screening vegetation, including Saratoga laura and Viola, will be planted to cover the rear property line and the left property line, where the second story will be built. At the new screening vegetation's mature age, they will reach to 10 feet to 15 feet tall and 10 feet to 35 feet wide. 3 new on-site trees with at least 24-inch box will also be planted on the subject site. With regard to the existing trees, 8 trees, including 5 street trees and 3 on-site trees, currently exist within the vicinity of the subject site and further assessed by a professional arborist. The arborist report is provided in the attachment B of the agenda report for commissioners' reference. Owning 1 on-site protected tree, which is a 52-inch coast redwood tree located in the rear yard, will be removed due to its unrecoverable damage caused by the previous fire. 2 other on-site protected trees will be retained and protected during the construction. 4 street trees are also proposed for removal, but they are not part of this design review approval. As a condition of approval, the applicant shall obtain the Public Works Department approval before removing the street tree. A tree protection is also provided by the arborist and also incorporated into the drawing. And this slide provides the materials board, which has been presented in the previous slide. For the community outreach, the applicant has done multiple outreach in the neighborhood. In June 2022, before the submittal of the application, the applicant provided certified mail to the immediate neighborhood for early community awareness. After the application was deemed complete in December 2022, the applicant sent out the second round certified mail and posted the notice of development proposal on site. And in this year, on January 10th, an online community meeting was also hosted for community engagement. The summary of the community meeting and proof of all community outreach are attached to the staff report in attachment E. So with the information presented by staff now recommends the Design Review Commission approve design review application SC22-0025, subject to the listed findings. Staff now concludes the presentation and more than happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jai. Commissioners, questions for staff? Michael, are you about to speak?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay. Let's see. David, do you have any questions of Jai?
No, I don't have any questions. I do need to make an announcement or whatever. I did speak with, when I was out there, the property owner to the right, and I think it's at 319 I did not have access to the property, so I asked to scale their fence to be able to get into the property to take a look, but I
You
do not
scaled-
have any questions.
You scaled the fence?
Yeah, I couldn't get into the backyard because it was fenced off.
Oh,
So I had to hop over part of the fence and sort of skinny my way through.
and you're all, no scrapes or injuries, I hope?
No, I survived.
Good, good. Stuart,
No questions, a clear presentation, and I wasn't brave enough to climb the fence.
good. I did get to inside the fence somehow. I found a gate, I guess. So, and any more comments for staff?
Nope.
All right, then next we'll hear from the designer and owner. You have 10 minutes to present your program.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Chair Harding. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Aaron Hollister. I'm with Thomas James Homes, and I'm joined this evening by David Pocket, our project architect from Vicini and Lagoni Architects. I'm sorry to hear some of the commissioners had to take a perilous route into the site, but Chair Harding, I'm glad you found a little better route. So with that, I wanted to present our projects. Thank you to Ja for getting us to this point and for the thorough presentation already. I'll try not to duplicate any of what Ja has shared already. Our project 311 Hawthorne, what we were doing when we were taking a look at how we wanted to develop this site was the immediate context. We did note single stories, but we also did note 2 stories at select locations in the neighborhood. That made us a little more comfortable going with this 2-story design. When we were citing our building footprint, there were some things that came to mind when we wanted to establish this. A couple big things, realizing we have a single-story neighbor to our north and to our east. We wanted to pull in our building as much as we could. As John explained, we will exceed the rear setback and the interior side setback. The rear setback was important to us as our neighbor to the east. This is effectively their side yard. So recognizing that, we wanted to pull our structure in a little bit more. Another big siting item for us was preservation of this large redwood tree at the rear, as well as 2 trees, 2 sweet gums in the front. We did note in the neighborhood there are a number of mature trees in front yards, and we wanted to preserve that as the site comes to fruition over the years. As John mentioned, there's removal of a large fire damaged redwood. Our arborist determined that it's highly unlikely that this tree is going to recover from its exposure to the fire on the site. The street trees, we have talked with Public Works about the removals. We have 3 Italian cypress and another one here. And the Public Works offered preliminary support on that with our proposed mitigation plantings in the right of way. And we have, I'll show you the landscape plan. We do have mitigation plantings on the Hawthorne Avenue side. John went through the floor plans already with you. Just to add, we do have a front porch to help activate our home. It's about 6 feet in depth for the usable part of that. And then at our second story, John also went over the privacy concerns already. And just to add to that, our interior side property facing line, we wanted to put programming there that wasn't as actively used. So secondary bedrooms and the laundry room. Elevations, we are proposing cementitious siding. We would do lap siding on the ground floor, horizontal. And then at the second story, we do V-groove siding, and then fiberglass windows, cementitious trim on the windows, wood posts. All egress windows would be at their second floor would be to the front and the rear no egress windows for the bedrooms on the sides. We did make our floor plates 9-1 at the first floor and 8-6 at the second floor to help further blend our home in with the existing built context that allowed us to help match eaves in the neighborhood, particularly the one-story eave lines. So we think we do a good job matching there, as you can see in our conceptual street scene. We've also pulled back our first floor to help better blend the two-story into the existing built context. And then these are some of the inspiration images from the neighborhood. We have we want to do windows with grids. We have seen that all over the neighborhood, activating front porches with posts, kind of like what we have proposed. Simple roof forms with gables. For example, across the street, we have a single story with these gables that we wanted to introduce. White trim, we're seeing that around as well. Also a pattern of attached to car garages, and we're also incorporating that. We touched on our materials already. We're going with more or less a neutral color palette with the white trim, as I mentioned. Just another look at our materials. Our landscape planting plan, we are proposing a number of additional tree plantings. John went over a lot of the privacy screening already, but our mitigation tree for the removal of our redwood, we're going with the valley oak. We'll put that there, and another valley oak in the corner. We want to provide a robust planting plan in the right-of-way to help soften that and provide a desirable design as viewed from the public right-of-way. In our neighborhood meetings, we had a number of good conversations with our neighbor to the east up here at 319. We answered a number of questions, and we worked on our fence design with that neighbor. What we're proposing is 6-foot solid, 2-foot lattice where this red line is located. What we wanted to work on is the corner up here at Hawthorne. We provided a visibility area so our neighbor could have safe access in and out of his property at his driveway. And we put in a whole bunch of low-growing plantings at this corner to help soften that as well. And I'm going to conclude my presentation with that. Respect for your evenings. John did a great job of covering everything already, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, comments for the designer?
I have none.
I have
Michael?
no question.
Okay, Stuart? You're muted, Stuart.
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. Is this when we ask for Sean for comments before we conclude this part? Do we have
Correct. Yes, after, if there are no commissioner questions for the applicant, then you would then take public comment.
Okay. Could we hear if there are any public comments?
If there are any members of the public who'd like to speak on this item, please raise your hand. If you're not able to raise your hand, please unmute yourself and provide us your name. Again, providing your name is optional. Chair, I do not see any members raising their hand or unmuting themselves. It appears we have no comments.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Given that, I'll close the public hearing and open it to discussion for commissioners. Who would like to begin? Stuart, why don't you begin?
I'll begin. Very simple here. I think the project has design integrity, and I think it's appropriate for the diverse neighborhood. I thought the outreach to the neighbors was adequate, more than adequate. And I think the presentations were clear and compelling. So I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. Commissioner Blockhouse.
Yeah, I support the project as well. It's pretty straightforward. Kind of meets all the guidelines. There's no privacy issues. The only thing that I would throw out there, and it's completely up to the designer and the owner, and they may have already thought about this, is whether you want to have it as a street address on Hawthorne or South Gordon, which might make a little bit more sense. But I fully approve the project.
Okay. Commissioner Ma.
Yeah, I like the project. You know, these in general compliance to the design guidelines. I like the way they handle the corner lot. Even though the immediate adjacent is all one story, and the privacy is well addressed by the windows, and you know, all those facing the interior side, it's you know, with a high window sill. Especially, I like the front porch. You know, kind of give the ground floor you know, a setback and recessed look. I was actually a little bit concerned about the second floor above the garage, which the second floor is kind of like forward. But I think that's minor given the overall, you know, design. I think it's you know, the play height, the height, the bulkiness, everything's been addressed. So I'm in support of the project.
All right. I am as well in support, and as others mentioned, like the outreach and the follow-up on that. I think that's maybe one of the most important parts of kind of our review of projects, that you have done a very good job of that. Given that, do I have a motion?
I move to approve item SC 22-0025 at 311 Hawthorne Avenue by accepting all the listed findings and conditions.
I second.
All right, we'll take a vote. Commissioner Blockhouse,
Aye.
Commissioner Ma,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein. And you were muted, but I could see your lips that you said aye.
Aye.
And I am as well aye. The motion carries. The project is approved. Thank you very much for your time and your effort, and good luck. All right, let's move to the second project, SC 22-0035, 825 Parma, project planner Sean.
Go. Let me see if you have the right one. Sorry about that. Go. Good evening, Chair Harding and Commissioners. My name is Sean Gallegos. I am the Planning Division, and I'm here to speak tonight about the design review application for a new two-story house that is located at 825 Parma Way. The project includes 2,587 square feet on the first story, 1,448 square feet at the second story. Accessory dwelling unit is proposed. However, it is not part of the design review application. This provides you a rendering of the structure, which is part of the packet with you tonight. The subject property is located in a diverse character neighborhood as defined in the city's residential design guidelines. Hopefully, I'm not going down this path again this last meeting. 1 second. Yes, it is. So let me move this down. For some reason, my computer's been having problems. We'll get that fixed. So The project before you tonight is a proposed two-story home. It's located in a diverse character neighborhood on Parma Way. This provides location of the site here. Parma Way is between Covington and Harrington Avenue. This is Harrington Avenue. Covington is further down the road, located here. The houses in the neighborhood are diverse in character with varying styles, massing, and scale. The front yard setbacks on the southern end of Parma Way vary at the street curve, while the front yard setbacks at the northern portion of Parma Way are more consistent because the road is linear. The house is located on the southern end of the street with curved front property lines. Staff leaves are similar in scale and mass to the proposed home. Let me try to move for you. This provides an aerial photograph of the site located here in red. Again, this is the curvilinear portion, and then Harrington Avenue is located for you. This provides a neighborhood context map, 805 Parma Way, 839 Parma Way. As provided in the staff report, staff has conveyed a similar relationship in regards to a horizontal emphasis, a low scale and bulk emphasis, as consistent with structures on either side at 805 and 839 Parma Way. This provides the site plan for the property. I have no idea what's going on. This provides a site to try to do something. Okay, my apologies. I have no idea what's going on with my computer.
Well, I just lost something on my machine also, so there might be something happening at.
I have no idea. Okay, so I will continue on, and let me see. It seems to stop moving, so let me turn on get this into a better position for you. No, it doesn't matter. The proposed project, staff believes it's sensitive to the scale and massing of the neighborhood. The project has relatively low eave lines along the front elevation, which staff again believes contributes to a more horizontal appearance and a strong single-story relationship at the first story to adjacent properties. The project is proposing a 9'6" plate height at the first story and which staff believes is consistent with the 8 to 9 foot plates on surrounding properties in the immediate neighborhood context. The applicant is proposing an 8'6" second story plate height along the front, right, and rear, or along the second story, which staff believes is consistent with similar properties. That the second story is also partially concealed within the first story roof form, which staff does believe contributes to a reduction in the perception of bulk. The applicant furthermore has proposed, besides proposing low wall plates, is proposing a low pitched roof of a 4 and 12 slope, primarily with a combination of both hip and gable roof forms, which are common forms found in the neighborhood. The second floor again is centered over the first story, and staff does believe the home is designed in a way to not contribute to abrupt change in the neighborhood, is well proportioned and articulated to reduce the effect of bulk. On the left and right side elevations, the applicant is proposing 5-foot sill heights for all the windows on the sides, with the exception of the left elevation along the front, which they're proposing a reduced setback. Staff does believe, due to the placement of the windows along the sides and their orientation and the sill heights, that the side-facing windows will not contribute to an excessive amount of privacy impact to adjacent properties. On the rear second story elevation, there is one large 3-panel window with a window directly above it with a 3-panel sill with a 3-foot sill height for bedroom number 1, and a large 3-panel window with a 3-foot sill height for bedroom number 2. Staff does believe that these windows are consistent with residential design guidelines to minimize impacts for privacy, that the privacy impacts from the bedrooms are diminished due to being set back approximately 71 feet from the rear property line 33 feet to the left property line and to the left and right side property line. Staff furthermore believes that the rear is obscured through existing screening and proposed screening along the rear of the site, which is adjacent to Hale Creek. This provides, there we go. Sorry, here we go again. This provides an example of the existing tree plan. Staff does provide a discussion within the report of the proposed trees for removal and retention. A comprehensive landscape plan has been provided, which includes street trees and screening trees. The landscape plan includes maintaining the existing oak and Chinese pistache trees. The project staff believes does meet the existing city's landscape regulations and street tree guidelines with new landscaping and hardscape. Since the new landscaping area will exceed 500 square feet, the project will require a landscape plan that complies with the water efficient regulations. A condition of approval requiring compliance with the water efficient regulations is provided with the conditions and findings. This concludes staff's presentation. My apologies for the technical issues. Again, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Commissioners, questions for staff?
Yeah, I got a couple. So
Okay.
Sean, it looks to me like the front fence is probably half a dozen feet on one side and maybe 4 or 5 feet on the other in front of the actual property line. Although I couldn't find any markers in the ground anywhere.
Yes, a fence in a public right-of-way is not permitted unless they have received an encroachment permit from the engineering division. If the, and I'm sorry for missing that, if the commission has concerns regarding the fence, we can require that the party have to apply for an encroachment permit. Even without a condition, staff will require the applicant to address this issue at the building permit stage because any fence within a public right of way requires approval by the engineering division. And unless they've approved it, it will need to be removed from the frontage.
And could you tell me about how far, I'm trying to get scale, you know, because if we're kind of going by the fence and the house is probably, the existing house is probably 25 feet from the fence. And so the scale of the new house would probably be another, if it was at the right setback, another 5 or 7 or 10 feet back from what the existing is. Does that make sense?
No, I mean, the proposed house does comply with the setback standards. So if we look at the site plan on sheet A52, it does reflect from the front property line that the setback is complying with the 25-foot setback. While there is area in front of the property line, that is not part of the property. It does give a perception that the house is set back further, but setback lines, this house is complying with them.
Correct. Yeah, no, I understand the new one will be built at the appropriate setbacks. My question more is from looking at, I mean, it's a fairly massive house, you know, almost 27 feet. And, you know, my looking at the existing house is somewhat large, but it's also, you know, 8 feet or 10 feet closer to the street. So I'm just trying to get a perception of how this large home would look 10 feet back, because it is kind of at that little turn. And so it's not quite a corner, but it is a little bit more seen by the neighbor, you know, by the neighborhood. And so I guess I'll just have to kind of work through that.
The applicant's architect, Ms. Kang, is present, so if she could potentially answer that question for you.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
current,
Oh.
Commissioner David, can I speak for a
Yes,
second?
you can.
Thank you. This is Jenny. So the current existing house was encroaching into the front setback line. So the proposed, the house will be pushed further toward the back. Would
Do
you-
we know how far front the existing house is from the actual setback?
I believe it
You
was
know, I feel,
about 20 feet. Go ahead.
okay. Okay, and then secondly, when this house was for sale and also in the pictures, there was a pool. There isn't a pool.
Yes, correct. So
What-
sorry, Commissioner David, let me just correct myself on the existing house. The front setback currently is 15 feet. So we were encroaching into the front setback, and what we're proposing is 25. So it's 10 feet toward the back we're pushing. And your question about the pole that we had recently got a separate permit from the city to remove the pole. So it's currently not existing. We mentioned on the plan that it's been removed properly with a permit.
Okay. Great, thank you. That's my questions for.
Okay, other, Stuart, Michael, questions?
No questions.
Okay, Michael?
No question.
I have no questions either. Do we have any public comments, Sean?
Chair Harding, the applicant is present to provide the presentation, which should
Oh,
be.
okay. All right, we did hear from her, but let's hear your you have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, Sean had covered pretty much all of our details of the project, so I don't have a presentation, but I just wanted to reiterate the fact that the existing house is a 2-story, and then 2 adjacent properties right next to us are 2 stories. So we're proposing 2-story building, which I don't think will be impacting the neighbor. And the homeowners were also present on this call, have reached out to all of the neighbors in the vicinity in person to get their agreements, and the neighbors were quite happy with the proposed design and the plan. And our the current the proposed design of the house is a modern ranch, which is a style that sort of blends in very well with the rest of the neighbors. And there are enough of 2-story homes that in the vicinity that this should not be standing out. And we also had, as Sean mentioned, the screening planting plans along the side of the fence on the side yard, and also in the rear area of our property. You can see on the plan that there are plenty of very large oak trees, heritage trees, also adding a lot of privacy for the properties and behind us as well.
Thank you. Any additional questions for the architect? Seeing none now.
Well, yeah, I do.
Okay, David.
I'm back. So the front primary bedroom front window, what is the size of that?
Hold on just 1 second.
Can you bring it up? And
It's a 10-foot. Let me see. Hold on. So this would be the front window right here. I believe it's a 10-foot wide window.
And what were your clients' thought as far as that sizing? How did they come to that?
How did we come to the size of the windows?
Yeah, I guess my point is when I look at the house, I think it's a pretty good design. My eyes immediately go to that upstairs window and it's sort of a large, to me, it makes the front facade look larger than it should be.
Okay. I guess if I think this was so this is at the top, the bottom of the window is a 2.5 feet high to comply with the egress. The width of it, we could further shrink it, but I think given the fact that it was a master bedroom, I think it would be nice to get some natural light in, but be open to your feedback.
Okay, yeah, because I know how that's, I mean, there's two issues. One, to me, it makes that, it appears to make the building look bigger and more massive. But two, if that's your primary bedroom and you are in that room anytime from 6 to 8:30 on a summer day, you have just cooked yourself. It will be very, very warm. And I know that only because my house is down the street and that's a western facing, and the sun comes in there and it beats pretty hard. So I would think you'd want maybe something both from a look, a little bit smaller, as well as a use, or have something that's super insulated and sun block wise. So
Okay, yeah, appreciate it. I think it was based on the homeowner's preference plus what we were recommending as sort of a 3-panel windows to kind of match the style with the windows downstairs. But we can definitely reconsider the size of it.
yeah, I think if you walk on and look on Parma on that side of the street, you'll see several of the properties have sunshades in front of their doors and whatnot that face that direction.
Understand. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Other commissioners, do you have comments for the architect?
Yes, Chair Harding, this is Mike. I have a few questions for the architect.
Go ahead.
Okay, my first question, maybe I missed that somewhere in the presentation. I noticed and then also the neighbor raised some question about the tree. But I look at the old street view, the previous street view, there were some street tree got removed. And are there any plans to plant back the street trees? And what size are those trees? How many? That's my first question. And then my second question is about the window trim. As you can see from the elevation, exterior elevation, the window trim are shown on the front elevation, but on the rear and side elevation, there are no window trim at all. So is it intentional just to have the window trim at the front? And that brings the related question. Well, I understand that on the elevation it showed it was noted 2x6 or 2x4 window wood trim. Are there any details on the window trim? And then what about those without window trim? How they look like on the window? Is it just flush? And then my last question is about the plate height, which Commissioner Block has brought us some of the concern about the size of the second floor in the front. I don't find any plate height. I know the general plate height for second floor is 8'6", but since the middle portion is taller for both the front and the rear, but I don't see any plate height for those taller portion. So that's all my question, and hopefully the architect can show me some directional answers. Thank you.
Can you answer that? There are several, he had several questions. If you can take those, please.
Okay, so to answer your last question first, the plate height for the master bedroom upstairs is a 10.5.
Okay,
As opposed to the rest of the second floor is 8.5. We did have a room to make it a little bit higher because of the request from the homeowners that they would like to have a higher ceiling for the master bedroom. And then your other question about the trees planned, we're not aware of trees that are removed, but our plan is to do the planting based on the landscape plans. And in addition to the fact that, as I noted earlier, that there are somewhere around 10, close to 10 very large oak trees in the back, that we believe that they give enough of the privacy in addition to the screen planting that we're planning in the backyard. But if there is a request or requirement to add more mature trees on the front, then we could look for some guidance on what is considered as a mature tree, and we can plan for that.
David,
Okay.
do you have a response?
Yeah, no, there's one more question about the window trim.
Oh, yes,
That
thank
window trim, yeah.
Yes, the window trims, initially we were planning on adding that for the front elevation because those are the more visible from the street and all. We could actually apply that for all of the elevations, and we can provide more details of the trims. They're supposed to be slightly sticking out in comparison to the window sills, the window frames.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Michael, Stuart, do you have any questions?
Yes, I noticed that there was a late submission of comments from the neighbor 805 and at 805, and they mentioned the two missing trees in front, which we've talked about, but they also requested a change in the screening plan on the side. I guess that would be the north side adjacent to their property at 805. And I was wondering if the architect has had it was a late submission, but I was wondering if the architect has had a chance to discuss that with the owner.
I have gotten the comments just before the meeting and have not had a chance to discuss with homeowners yet. But I think that what neighbors referring to are these trees on this side. And
Yes.
I don't think there's any concern with replacing with the 15-gallon, 6 of the 15-gallon trees that they were recommending. So we can accommodate that, not a problem.
Good, thank you. Stuart, anything else?
I don't know if this is the time to bring it up, but I just noticed on page 5 of the package with the findings, and on page 6 with the conditions of approval, the address, I don't think the address was correct. It was the address on a different street. But I think that's not for the architect,
Oh.
that's for the city.
John, do you see that?
One second, sorry. Yes, I do see it.
So what do you make of it?
Yeah, it's typographical error, which we can correct in the final finding and conditions that we issue to the applicant.
Okay. Commissioners, any additional questions for the architect? Seeing none, we close the public comments and discussion of commissioners. Who would like to begin?
Chair Harding, if we can confirm whether there are any members of the public who'd like to speak.
If there are public comments.
If there are any members of the public who'd like to speak on the item, please raise your hand. If you cannot raise your hand, please unmute yourself, provide your name. Providing your name is optional. Chair Harding, it does not, an Ellen Corey, did you wish to speak on the item? You unmuted yourself for a moment. Okay, it does not appear we have anybody who'd like to speak on the item, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Okay, we close the public comments and discussion of the board. What would you like to do moving forward? Michael, why don't you begin?
Okay. Yeah, I have a concern. I mean, the tree, I believe that the staff level can, Sean can address that at the staff level. It's just that the neighbor bring it up. There are two tree issue. One is along A05 and this the project on the side. So 15 gallon may or may not be enough, but I'll leave it that for the staff to decide. But my main concern is about the second floor. Even though the general second floor plate height is 8'6", but the center portion, it's very bulky, very tall. That kind of draw the attention. Everything when you look at the house at the front, that attention is drawn to that. The eye is focusing on that the centerpiece with the large window, and then the both sides have got a smaller window. So everything it's on that large second floor, and then besides that center, that master bedroom window, it's offset from the porch, the center of the porch by just a few feet. So it doesn't balance out. It's too big. That's my main concern. And then my second one is the window trim. But I know that the architects say they are willing to address it. You know, I don't have any problem for those areas now visible from the street. I mean, you know, ground floor facing the backyard or the side yard, they are not visible to the neighbors, you know. But when you walk down the street, you still can see the side of the second floor easily. The pedestrian, from other side of the street on the street, they can easily see the corner of the front and the right side, and the corner of the front and the left side. So that's and immediately people gonna see one side of the house has a window trim, the other side doesn't have. That's gonna be a strange look. So that's my main concern. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, Stuart, do you have comments or questions? Mostly comments.
Just very briefly on the size of the window, I think it's consistent with the design, and I think it's a function question for the owner. If they want to bake in the summer or not, they need to decide that for themselves, but it doesn't for me rise to a design level for us. The plate height does seem high. If it were possible to bring that center portion down a little, I do agree that's very pronounced, but in the scheme of things, it's not a huge comment.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. David?
Yeah, I would not approve it as it is. I think that front I mean, that's 10 and 10.6, which is probably larger second story plate height than I think we've done, but I could be off on that. I would like to see that dropped, you know, probably at least a foot, and make that more compatible with the rest of the house. It just sort of sticks out. The other issue is I'd probably, and not as required, but suggested another large tree in the front. That also would provide a little bit lessening the mass and bulk of the front. And then thirdly, I'd have a conversation with the neighbor on the right-hand side. That fence is probably 5 feet, the entire boundary, you know, get that replaced out. But again, that's something just as a suggestion. But yeah, I would not recommend to approve it based on the primary bedroom plate height. That's just too dramatic and too massive and bulky.
Okay. I'm in favor of the project as it stands, but it sounds like we have at least two commissioners who have conditions they would like to put into the process. So David or Michael, you had the questions. Would you like to to make a recommendation based on the things that you think need to be addressed in the approval process. Michael, would you like to, or David, would you like to make a,
Well, for me, that primary bedroom needs to be reduced down. I mean, the plate height's 10.6 on the second story, which I don't think we've ever had. And it is the prominent feature in the front of the house. So it just stands out, you know, that's like I said, the initial comments I had was you look at that and your head immediately goes up to that space. And so I think if you reduce it back down to maybe 9.6, similar as the first floor, you still have the space, but I think it comes and looks, it fits in better. I think it would fit in better with both the neighborhood as well as not be more fitting for the house.
okay, and could you, or would you make a motion based on that for the conditions and findings?
Well, the other commissioners have to,
Right.
they're,
You
yeah.
had the major ones, and Stuart didn't have objections. Michael maybe had some objections, so I'm trying to work it so that we can approve the project with the conditions that you and others may have, and see if we can get agreement.
Yeah, I would lean more to Michael because he's an architect on the sizing of it. But in past stuff that we've done, 9.6 second story plate height, that's even a little bit large, but we have in the past put those out. I think 10.6 we haven't, but more importantly, it makes the house look massive and bulky.
Okay,
And so,
Michael, would you like
if I was to do something, I would say reduce it to 9.5 feet and go from.
okay, Michael, would you like to craft a motion that addresses those issues?
Yeah, I generally agree with Commissioner Blockers, that's just too tall. I also want to have this, the architect take this opportunity to, fix some of the minor stuff, but the play height on the second floor, that's the front, it's the problem. And so I'm hoping to continue. I'll make a motion, but at the same time, I want to see if we can also have the architect try to either not just lower it to 9'6", but address the window trims, some of the tree, but also that's the centerpiece, even if it's up, even after it lowers to 9'6", I still think that window, that big window offset with the main entry by just a few feet, make it so not balanced. So, but I don't know at this time if there's any easy fix or not. I'll try to come up with the motion. I'll try.
Okay.
I move to continue. Let's see, where is that? Continue item SC 22-0035 at 825 Palmer Way, with the design to be revised for lower play height to 9'6" for the second floor master bedroom. And then preferably to make that center tall piece more balanced with the rest of the massing, and balance with the porch center, or balance with the downstairs porch.
Okay, anything else?
Address number 2, address the window trim, all around the house, provide a window detail, and address the tree along with the neighbor's concern, and then the street tree. For those street tree got removed.
Okay. Is that it?
Anyone want to add?
Okay, we have a motion, and I'm going to then ask if Sean has all of those conditions. Do you have anything to add to the motion, David?
No, the only question I have, we're talking about street trees on the property, and I walk by that property just about every day for the last 20 years, and there hasn't been any street trees because you have that fence, and then there's basically a hardscape blacktop parking in front of that. The only thing in the front are his roses, which he loved. There was a smaller tree on the right side within the boundary of the property, but not a street tree. So I guess question, what trees are we talking about in the front that are street trees, which they're, again, for 20 years, I've never noticed a street tree there.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get some clarification.
Okay, so good question. Let me add. Yeah,
The trees that were a smaller tree in the front yard, there's two circles in the front yard, and I think the one on the right had a smaller tree. Then he's got his flagpole, and I think there's a little bush or something on the left side. But from where the fence is, the brick fence going forward into the street is blacktop, so there's no trees there. And going back, the next thing are his roses, and then grass and whatnot.
Okay, I'm trying to work this process. So we have a motion. It sounds like the conditions are extensive. It is for continuation. Is there anything else that Commissioner Blockhouse and Ma want to add to the motion?
No, I
Let me-
would just eliminate the talk about the street tree.
Okay,
The reason I just want to explain a little bit. The reason I bring it up is that I'm looking at the Google Street View from 2018. I visited the site earlier this afternoon and found it pretty empty in the front. There's
Correct.
no trees in the front, just like Commissioner Block has said. But I look at the Google Street View like a few years ago. There were street tree in the middle. I mean, medium size. I think it looks like one like maple, maybe couple maple, and then the middle one I can recognize. And I remember that usually for something like this, I mean, Sean, you probably can weigh in on this one. Planning staff also most of the time require, if it's pretty empty, some they require a 20-foot-gallon street tree or something in the front yard, not even a street, maybe something in the front yard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would suggest having a substantial type tree on the right side of the walkway as it's built in the middle of the yard, whether it's right behind, if they're going to build a fence or whatever in the front yard, that provides a little bit of blocking of the house to diminish, some of the mass and bulk, but that still doesn't eliminate, what we're talking about on the primary bedroom plate
Right.
heights.
Let's keep it moving here. And so we have a motion to continue, and we have several conditions that have been detailed. So Sean, do you have, I know it's maybe many, but do you have those as part of the motion?
I do. I may have a question about one. So the request is a motion to continue the item. The commission is asking for the plate height along the second story along the front elevation to be reduced from the proposed 10'6" plate down to 9'6". to make the center gable of the second story gable more balanced or symmetrical with the front porch. To revise the side and rear elevations to incorporate the window trim, which is along the front elevation. To provide architectural details of the window trim. To add a street tree along the front yard to reduce mass and bulk. And then I believe there was a request to add evergreen screening on the side, but I didn't know which side, the left or the right side.
The north side.
The left, yeah, left
North
side.
side, okay.
So this is a motion to continue with a great deal of guidance for the owner and architect. Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
All right. We're going to vote. Michael,
Aye.
Stuart,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Harding, aye. Okay, sorry, this is continued because I know it takes time to work these things out, but please bring it back to us and we'll work with you again, hopefully very soon. Thank you. All right, that's the end of that project. Are there any other reports or comments? Sean, do you have anything for us that we need to be aware of?
So no, there may be, I will need to talk to my director about it. There may be a meeting regarding implementation of the housing element that was adopted by council, but I need to confirm the date. They are potentially updating the ordinance in regards to design review for both the design review commission and the planning commission. I believe it's on February 16th, and that's what's listed internally, but we do not have anything published or any information yet.
Okay.
If it is on the agenda, I will consult with my director and see if we can make sure you're aware of that.
Okay, I think last time, Sean, you mentioned that maybe some of the documents were not going to be either on the city website, but and I had them up a minute ago, but got kicked off somehow. So is what is now the situation change from having things and confidentiality issues?
So we received further direction from the city attorney, and while we're not allowed, so the city's website had a development page on the planning division's main page. The development page included all of the plans for current multifamily commercial and single family projects. Based on the state law, we're not allowed to have that page anymore. However, the city attorney's perspective and legal direction to us was that it is permissible to have the plans with the agenda and staff report. So we will have it with the agenda and staff report, but we will not have a separate page with those documents any further. And it will only be up for the meeting, or it'll just be in the agenda section for the city's website.
Good. Thank
And
you.
Sean,
ahead.
our packages will just include the plans and won't have the commentary, won't have the actual sheets.
No, I mean, the direction from the executive team is to be at a digital, is to be digitally only providing projects digitally, with the exception that we do provide paper plans, because I know certain commissioners have asked for them. So we've generally, I believe, been providing it to everyone. We will not provide the rest unless if an individual has a disability or any type of issue, then of course we'll fully comply and provide any documentation that you require for any disability that you may have.
So just for some process feedback, I had it up two times and got kicked out 2 times. So either me or somewhere else, I wasn't able to keep that up on my computer. But
if a commissioner has a problem, please email me. I'm happy to send you a link And with that link, you can download the documents. You can download the documents onto your drive and then delete them afterwards. They don't take
Yeah,
up
I
memory.
mean,
but
I
we can send that to you.
didn't know that. This happened during the meeting, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's up next for us, Sean?
Well, we do have a full agenda at the next meeting. We may have a few projects that may be a little bulky. I believe not to talk about them too much in advance, but staff does do our very best to try to get revisions. We may have some very significant discussion probably at the next meeting regarding group of projects, and some of them maybe not. But we will have 4 items at the next agenda meeting. And that'll be we'll make sure to have that to you in the next few weeks or the next week
Okay,
or so.
and that's February 15th.
February 15th, correct.
And we continue in our same Zoom, no changes to that yet.
It is my understanding that we will be returning to physical in March, but we have not received formal direction. That's informally, they've been advising us that it's going to be we can expect the first meeting in March will be physical and will be at City Hall.
Oh, really? Well, that'll be a hallelujah event for us.
We having a
returning
grand
to that
opening?
site, which we've missed, the being up on the dais. Well, we look forward to that.
3 years. It's been 3 years.
Shall
Any
we call
comments from
Jude?
commissioners in parting? I want to thank our mayor, Mayor Meadows, for joining us and trying to do our work as best we can here. Any comments from anyone? If not, the meeting is closed.
All right. Good night. See you
Have a
guys
good
Thank you,
evening.
next time.
everyone.
Mhm.